Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Max Attack Motorsports. As you guys can see here today, we have a very special video for you. This is the start of a new journey for Max Attack. Going to be merging with these two gentlemen here that we've kind of created our own new thing. So, yeah, without further ado, I'd like to welcome you guys to our first episode of an Okei Podcast. You can see where the inspiration has come from. But essentially, my two fine friends here, Vincent and Vince, and myself, we have created a new brand called Doryoku Street Works. And this is a step in the direction that we want to take the brand, which you guys will see on the channel. So for now, I'm going to be launching the podcast on the Max Attack channel, and in the near future, it'll be a rebrand with these guys right here, bringing you everything from car show material, car meets, track days. We have a couple special events this summer that we're going to try to get towards you guys as well. And of course, we're going to start this podcast. So something I'm very fortunate and very happy to be a part of. I look up to these guys as great friends and brothers. So I'm happy that we're here, and I'm happy that you guys are a part of it. So without further ado, we're going to start off the podcast today, pretty much just introduce ourselves so that you guys can kind of get a feel for who we are as people. Probably go over some car history that we all have. I know a couple of these guys have had some pretty crazy cars in their life. We have the dogs kicking around, so so welcome to the podcast, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. So we got the dogs hanging out here, and we're chilling out. So I'll start with myself. For those that don't know, my name is actually Wade. Max Attack Motorsports is actually named after my cat. Kind of started the brand off just to kind of have some fun and whatever, but I think for me, with these guys too, going over some of our car history, maybe I would say, like, out of the cars that we've all owned, I would say that my list is probably the least, like, impressive towards you guys. Like, you know what I mean? So,
like I said, we'd have to have a few episodes if we want to go through the whole complete list.
Yeah.
This guy, he's an OG.
Yeah.
So he's got some. For me, honestly, I still have most of the cars I've ever had.
Yeah.
Apart from two.
Yeah.
I still have them.
What was your first car?
So technically, my first car wasn't mine. I got inherited from I just used it. It was my mom's. It was a Cadillac Catera. I think a 2000. So you know what? To be honest with you, it showed me because of that. Being a rear-wheel drive car, it was technically the first rear-wheel drive Cadillac. It's kind of the predecessor to the CTS. Like, if the Catera didn't exist, the CTS-Vs, all that would probably never have happened. But it was really, it's an Opel rebrand, whatever. So I had that for a while, and I put way too much money in that car. So I had 20-inch chrome wheels.
Oh,
I got a bunch of parts from Poland from the Opels. Oh, buddy. I had probably $6,000 in car audio. So at that time, I was a car audio installer at Future Shop when Future Shop was still around.
What year is this in?
This would have been, from when I was
like 2001
16,
or
so like 2005.
Oh wow!
Right?
Yeah.
I'm 88, so no, 2003. Yeah, early 2000s, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I had I'm bad with math, but so I had that for a while, and I put way too much money into it. So I had it was the first Catera that have a doubled-in radio, so I made my own dash kit. This is back when Car Domain was the thing. I don't remember that website. Dude. So I used to post it on Car Domain, and I had people from all over the place, like, "Oh, where'd you get this kit? Like, I want to put a doubled-in." So I mainly a focus on audio, just because that's kind of what I was doing. Sure. So I had the Phoenix. What was that?
Phoenix Gold.
Phoenix Gold, like 10 set up in the back, the doubled-in with nav. I had a PS2 Slim in the glove box, so I used to be able to play Gran Turismo in the car, which was sweet.
That would still like, if you go to a car show with that now, that would still be like, hey, you have this.
Yeah, it was.
Car audio isn't as prevalent.
Yeah,
like it was back in the day. I know Future Shop had the House of Boom.
Yep.
And they had DB Drag Racing back in the day too. So that would actually be quite impressive. It was
good times, man. It sounded great. It just. Like, looking back now, like, there's no wonder I was pulled over every other week 100%. In that thing. Like, it looked like I was doing some sketchy stuff for sure. Black guy in a gold Cadillac on dubs, bumping, trunk rattling. Like, it checks all the boxes for a heat score.
Well, so, there's still a vibe for that. Like, we were at Driven last year for, like, the people watching, like, Driven's a known show in Canada and stuff like that. But we were at Driven last year, and they had a section that had that. They had a couple MX3s, There was a Pontiac like Grand Prix GTP that was there, and
Grand Prix, really?
Yeah.
Was that in like the back?
Yeah, it was kind of in the sweep off the rug type of back section.
So Island of Misfits?
Yeah,
Island of Misfits.
Yeah. So, but what motor was in that car?
So it had a 3-liter V6.
Wow.
Out of an Opel, which was known for head gasket issues, which is what ended up killing that car.
A lot of Cadillacs were back then, right? So
it was bad, and it didn't make crazy power, but it was enough with rear wheel drive that as a daily, the winter time, it was fine. I ended up sliding into a pole and hit black ice in a parking lot.
Dangerous.
Allegedly doing donuts. And I had that for a while.
Yeah.
And then when I was about 20, I had saved up and I was ready to buy my first car. And I wanted an IS 300. That was like, always loved those cars.
Yeah.
And at the time, here where I live, there was no Lexus dealership. So I was just kind of going around, went to a Toyota dealership trying to find them, couldn't find one. I really got kind of dicked around by a few dealerships. I actually almost was looking at a Jeep Patriot. Thank God I never bought that car.
Terrible.
I don't know what I didn't have like a defined sense for what I liked in cars.
Well, I was gonna say like
I always loved the Japanese stuff. From Gran Turismo, my dream car was always the R32.
Sick game, as everyone knows.
I think it was Pinecrest. You got you won that race and you unlocked the R32 GTR, and I was like, this is a dream car. But at that time, I didn't even think it was possible, right? Like this is early 2000s. There were right-hand drive cars coming in, but it wasn't something that was on my radar.
Yeah.
And so after getting dicked around at a couple dealerships, I'm like, you know what? Let me just go. This is early days of Kijiji. I'm like, let me go online, and I'm searching. I find this R32 GTR in Montreal, and I was like, this is unbelievable. How is this a thing? Literally that night, got on a bus, the overnight bus, out to Montreal. I got picked up from the bus station from the guys who ran the dealership in a Veil Slide twin turbo Supra. So he pulls up and it's like Fast and the Furious, brain triggering, just firing off. Like I hear this guy pull up, I get in, and I'm already hooked. Right, I'm 20 at this point, cash in my pocket. Let's go.
Dude, that's a big risk going to Montreal
on a bus,
like
on my car.
Montreal, like people listening from Montreal now, they know. There
were some sketchy. There were some and
they're still sketchy.
It is sketchy.
It is.
The car was sketchy.
Well, everything Kijiji or Facebook wise has the best deal. It's all in Gatineau.
Yes.
Montreal.
That's right. Well, I found the Corolla in Gatineau.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Right.
Super
so.
cheap, but I mean.
Yeah. The even sketchier thing is the car that I was going to see. He's like, I called him up. He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, I'll be there tomorrow morning, and I show up and he's already sold that car. So the car that I was looking at wasn't even there. But he had
classic Montreal.
He had this. I pull up and he has this white one. Yeah. So as we're in the car, he's telling me, "Oh, so that car you have, it's gone." Or I'm like, "Well," he's like, "But don't worry, we have more."
Yeah.
And so I pull up and I see it parked out front. And this is that point was the first 32 I'd ever seen in person. So before that, it was just Fast and Furious or Gran Turismo. It was all just kind of this pipe dream. And I get out of the car, he throws me the keys. He's like, let's take it. And so at that point, I never owned a stick car. Well, I never owned any car. I had my mom's Catera, which was auto.
Yeah.
But I had driven, working at Future Shop, I knew how to drive stick just from pulling cars in and out of the driveway. So obviously I'm not going to tell him I don't know how to drive stick. I'm like, cool. And so I get in it, started, let it warm up. And within 15 seconds, I was hooked. I'm like, this is it. We literally drove around for about 5 minutes and then went straight to MTO or whatever their version is in Montreal. Signed the paperwork. Within an hour of getting to Montreal, I was on the highway driving this 32.
5 hours later?
On the way back. And I swear, I had a permanent smile.
Oh, I can only imagine.
The whole way. I was just like,
seriously.
And then within about 15 minutes, Hiccups light turns on.
Oh.
Things start to go a little sketchy. I'm like, oh, what did
Montreal.
I do? But
Montreal.
Still, big smile. I don't care. I'm gonna get through. So that was it was kind of just a spiral out from there.
Yeah.
And so realistically, I've actually never owned a left-hand drive. So I bought that Skyline, and I've had only right-hand drive cars.
And you still
and I still have that car.
Yeah, you still have the car. I know you got plans for it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've been stacking parts.
Get it started.
It'll get there. So it ended up. This is probably, it's been off the road for about 7 years now. Is the second Turbo Blue. Unbeknownst to me, the first one was already been blown, so I didn't know that it was running on. So, but after pulling that out, this is where realizing how sketch the car really was. All the oil and coolant lines to the second turbo were just crimped, so it had obviously blown. And then rather than repairing it, they just cut it off. So it was, it still was you know, the fastest car that I've owned, like driving it even with just a single turbo, it's still probably made, you know, 250 horse, whatever. Sure. But the driving dynamics of that car, nothing feels like it. It's my, still to this day, my favorite driving experiences in one of those cars.
They are, like, we all know, like, they're such awesome cars, and like we'll get into some of the car scene stuff, like, as the show goes on, type of thing. But like nowadays, like when you see one, like, they're pricey, but they're so nice. And like, to me personally, they're always been one of my favorite, like, cars. Like I've always adored them. Especially we have buddies doing Group A style builds with them, like such a sweet car, right? So
we have one guy who's doing Texas Standing Mile, 1,000 horsepower Skyline. He's going to in October.
Seriously.
So that's pretty hard.
That's a serious car too. He's already he's what, I think he's got 850 to the wheel. As it sits, so he's going.
It's nuts, man.
Trying to boost it a little bit more.
And for context, I paid just under, I think, 10 grand cash for that car. So compared to now, I'm happy I never got rid of it. There was a few times, like, even at that point, I couldn't afford it when I bought it. I would, like, to maintain it. There's a reason why I ended up getting off the road. It's just like, I just couldn't resist. I'm an impulsive guy when I see something. But in hindsight, I'm happy I did, because you know, it's still, even in the shape that it's in, it's 3-4 times my money anyways. But I'll never get. That's the one car I'll never get rid of.
So after the GTR, like, so, like, again, like, when I met you, like, you had the carry going on, which, like, for everyone that's watching, again, this is Vincent's carry right here. This is our baby type thing. So when did you get into, like, the whole, like, the Altezza, like, the Land Cruiser? So like, was there stuff in between too, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit in between. So I had the 32 for, well, like I said, for now going on 15 years. I had that. So I had that drove that for a few years. I still had the Catera. That was like my daily, my winter beater.
The caddy beater, eh?
Yeah, which was fun. And then I got T-boned in that. And so that actually got fixed by insurance, but then that's when the head gaskets went. So I was cruising it with the head gaskets for a while. Oh my gosh. Got rid of that, and I ended up picking up a Pajero, two-door Pajero with the 2.8 diesel.
Hell yeah, dude.
Which was my daily for a long time. Loved that truck. Because it was one of those things where I was living in Toronto at the time, so having the short wheelbase, driving around, you know, if you had to park, you just go up on the curb. It didn't matter. You know, bumps and whatever. So I had that for years. I drove that. That was like my go. So that one had like a little bit of a lift, 32s on it, and had tons of fun off-roading it. It's a great car. I actually kind of want another one.
Pajero Evo?
I want a Pajero Evo. So I almost bought one of those instead of the Land Cruiser, but there's an attachment to Land Cruisers for sure. My dad had a 60 series when I was younger. So I had the Pajero for a while, and then Pajero started to get really rusty because I never cleaned it. So I would go mudding and then leave the mud on it, so it started to rot out.
It looks badass like that, right? One of our buddies is actually, like, I was talking to him, whatever, like, he's in Dubai right now. And he says, like, they're all over the place. And he's like, I need to get one. Like, they're such
out there,
cool.
It's Pajeros, Patrols, and Land Cruisers.
Seriously.
Those are your three. Those are your three options. Patrols probably my next one.
Patrols are massive out there, right?
I want a late 90s Patrol.
Well, we've seen, like, cars on the internet. Like, there was that GTR swapped Patrols that's out there. Like, just nuts, right? So
that thing is a monster. I want that Gen Pajero. I don't have R35 drivetrain money, but that's the
I hear you.
Patrol's probably the next on the list. So I had the Pajero for a while, and then sold that to buy the Land Cruiser. So the Land Cruiser I found just by chance looking through the cars in Japan. It was at a dealership in Japan. And so I got that, and that was going to be the new daily. And then when it showed up, it was just way too clean. So it had
it's so nice.
Just over 40,000 clicks when I bought it. Already had 6-inch lift, 35 Toyos on it. Beautiful truck. Interior's absolutely perfect. Underside still has factory rust proofing. So I was like, I can't do it. I can't daily this thing. This thing can't see snow. It's too nice. I almost felt like I'm like a steward for that car.
Literally.
Because most people who have 80s use them. So, like, for instance, I was at a Toyota truck meet last weekend, and everyone else is just like, I'm jealous in a way because they're able to go off-roading and all that sort of stuff. But with me, it's like I can't do it. So in one way, it's kind of like a time capsule for what an 80 should look like from the factory for the most part. So I got that, and then I had to get another car now. I needed to get a daily for the daily. So
that's how it usually is.
That's how it spirals. There's so many dailies, right?
So now I have my Altezza, so 2000 RS200 Z edition or whatever, which is my like an OEM plus build.
Yeah.
So I've been steady getting every TRD part that I could find for it. So it's got a lot of OEM factory option parts and stuff, and that's the daily. So that's
and then obviously the K,
and then
the carry.
then the carry.
So this is what you're mostly known for in the area, right? Is this thing? So
well, because it's currently still the only Pandem wide body one in Canada as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one I got I guess
2 years.
And beginning of last summer. Was it?
I think so. I
think
like
this is my third summer.
Yeah, but it feels like it's been longer than that. I think, right?
No, I think this is my second. This would be the third summer. So I've had it just shy of 2.5 years, I'd say, and it was stock for about 2 days. So I actually had the kit.
Yeah.
I wanted this. So I've always loved these cars. I go to the Caribbean quite a bit. These are pretty staple out there.
Yep.
And then when I saw the Hoonigan video where they had I can't remember the guy's K Trada, whatever the guy behind Pandem.
Was it? Well, I'm gonna say, was it Hurt?
No, it was the guy behind Pandem.
Yeah, the guy that runs Pandem.
They flew him out. He's 3D scan, whatever. He built it, and I was like, "This is."
I want it.
I need.
Well, it's such a big staple now, and again, even with today's scene here, like K trucks are getting huge here.
Yeah, it is.
They're going up in price.
Yeah.
And they're awesome trucks. Like we have friends with the Acties. We have Jonathan's got the Sandbar, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of them that are coming into our area, and people are starting to do more and more with them, right? Because they're such an awesome little rig, right? So
the safety side of it aside, you have to understand that you are the crumple zone in this thing. Yeah. So I'm 6'5", so for me, my knees are probably this far from the front of the car when I'm sitting in it, but they're just super practical vehicles. Mind you, I've unpractical this quite a bit.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
with the wide body and everything.
Literally.
But I still throw stuff in the bed. I still do Home Depot runs with it. Yep. It still does everything.
Well, we run the booth out of it too, right?
K trucks, it's my the K booth for Kaizo. So it's So basically, as soon as I found out the kit was becoming available.
Yeah.
Before I even had the truck, I secured one of the kits. So I bought the kit. It took months. I got it through Gretty US, through Gretty Japan. So I had the kit for months before I had the truck. Once I knew I had the kit, I hollered at my importer and I was like, I want low miles, because if I'm gonna put this amount of money into the car, I want it to
you gotta do it right.
Clean. So no rust, low miles, AC, 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
This checked all the boxes.
Oh, is it 4-wheel drive?
It's 4-wheel drive. I don't know if it works. I actually never run in 4-wheels, but it's 4-wheel.
No kidding! Wow.
And wanted round headlights. So this is 95, which I think 95 or 96 the last year of the round headlights. They've gone to the square ones, which I'm not as big of a fan, but I have seen ones with the kit with the square heights. They look kind of sick. So
that looks very Daihatsu.
Yeah, more like the hijet kind of vibe to it. Yeah. But there's just something cute about the round headlights.
Yeah.
And which I've loved. So
it's honestly, it suits it so much, right? It has such a like the vibe with the two colors and stuff, and the kid, and people people in our area know you through that, very famous, LZ was here last year, right, Kyuga, and you got so many pictures with it and stuff like that.
He loved the truck.
Yeah,
it's
we have fun with it everywhere we go. All our meets and shows we've done, and I've seen you sleep in it. I've seen you run booths. We've had fun with it, right? And
honestly, I love it. It's been a lot of fun. It's the one car where it doesn't even non-car people, it doesn't matter. You can't not at least smile.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I kind of wasn't prepared for, I've always had right-hand drive cars, so for me, I'm used to that level of attention. I get the same comment from everybody. It's "Oh, you're on the wrong side," and I keep saying, "Well, actually, it's the right side." And then they call it the right side for a reason.
Yeah.
So I'm used to that kind of people, the attention that brings, which isn't why I like these cars. It's just all the cars that I've always loved were from Japan, and you can't get a left-hand drive Skyline. You had to convert them.
You had to
kind of forced that way. And then with the Altezza, my first car that I wanted was an IS300, and they're for a clean IS or an Altezza that's also clean. They're kind of the same money, if not sometimes cheaper on the Altezza side. They're starting to climb now because they're getting US eligible and stuff. But for me, I wasn't prepared for the amount of attention that this thing gets. If you were kind of an inclusive person who didn't really want to have to talk to people, I do not advise getting a K truck.
No, you turn heads everywhere.
Yep. Everybody is going to stop to talk to you. You pull up to a gas stations, anything, you're going to get talks. And it's funny because it's like, even compared to, like, I'll be next to a guy in like a 458, and people are still looking at this thing, you know? Like, it's like...
Well, we went to... We went to, what's it called, right? Like, even when we went to the Milton Downtown Show, like, I know you had the Land Cruiser there and everything too, right? Yeah. But, like, so much attention goes, like, in our area, like, there's people that are just darting for your stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I know, for me, like, they always remind me, like, my dad worked at Air Canada his whole life, so they remind me of, like, the little, like, luggage tugs, right? So when you see them, like, ripping around and, like... Yeah, it's just they're so cool. It's such a cool car.
Honestly, they're great, especially for like a handyman or any kind of business. I think a lot of them that come over, because of the fact how much they turn heads and how like affordable they are as vehicles. You throw a livery on it, it's a rolling billboard. Everybody's gonna look at it.
Yep.
Obviously, with the wide body, it adds a bit of
flair.
A little bit of flair. It's pretty low, like you know, the lips all chewed, so like it's not nearly as practical.
Yep.
But in reality, I'm not doing more than 80K in this thing anyway, so I'm on side streets. I don't worry about the highway.
Yeah, you just cruise.
Which adds a layer going to shows. Like when I got to go to like Bubble Tea in Mississauga, that's an hour and 20 minutes.
Or Kotowari, we were doing Kotowari, right?
One street the whole way.
Just have a lot of patience.
So, yeah, exactly. It definitely makes you a more patient driver, and because of obviously anyone who drives a super low car, you realize how aware you are of the road. You're constantly looking because what could be a small little pothole is could be a backbreaker.
We've even talked about like, so like hopefully we get this video in time, but obviously like the three of us are hosting a show, right? June 15th, right? 2024, we're hosting our DXN Invitational, right?
Yep. Castle Fairgrounds.
But shameless plug there, eh? See how I worked that one up? But like we were talking about like if you started here. So, like, the show's in Ancaster, right? We're in Hamilton, Ontario right now. But where I live, like, if I left in my Ram and you leave now from here and you're so much closer, like, who would actually win the race? But yeah, like, it's, again, like, I don't know if we're leaving any cars out, but, like, such an awesome history. And I love, like, we'll get into Vince's cars as well and some of mine, too. Like, I just love where we started and where we've gone.
Yeah.
And I love how you've kept the same theme. So, like, the JDM stuff, the right-hand drive, like, it's parallel, right?
Yeah.
Which is nice. Like, Cadillac's a little...
The Cadillac's a little... Well, but you gotta think, though, the Cadillac was technically an Opel Omega.
That is true.
European, so it originally would have been a right-hand drive car. It's not actually made by Cadillac. It's made by Opel, which is still a GM.
Yeah.
But that was more of a gateway to the rear-wheel drive, which... You know, most of the cool cars in Japan, outside of obviously the Hondas and stuff, it's all rear-wheel drive stuff.
100%, right?
It's,
I would say more the Catera was foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Because it's like a Opel IS300/Altezza.
It's like a different. Like I'm always attracted to things that other people either overlook or are not into. I've never been kind of a bandwagon jumper. I don't like the same stuff everybody else
go against
has.
the grain.
Yeah, and it's not just so that I could be unique. It's just when everybody likes something, that's a red flag for me. That it's just not cool anymore. You know, like so I've always kind of went after the things that were weird and different.
Yep.
And it bites you in the bullet. Like when people always say with right-hand drives, it's the parts, and it's like that's why you gotta have more cars, right?
Well, especially with the GTR, right?
Yeah, but if you have multiple cars, then when one goes down, you have time to get parts.
Big
right?
time.
I bring in a lot of stuff from Japan, so that's not a huge deal. It's as long as you're not dependent. So at least with the Altezza, it's Toyota, like the Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
Really, you do your general maintenance, they'll last forever. You know.
Oh, big time. Dude, Toyota now, like I tell people all the time, like buy Toyota. Like I have friends at work and stuff, and I'll tell them like, if you're looking for a beater, especially like get a Camry, man.
They don't die.
Like they're just
they never die.
No, there's a reason why cab drivers drive them, and they're so tough. And like the people that on the channel, like whatever, like they know I come from more of a demolition derby world and stuff. Like they're the toughest car in a pit. Seriously, man, like toughest car in a pit, right? And like, well, Jason, our good buddy, drives one, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so. Follow the Camrys, man.
His is not a Camry though.
He's a fancy Camry.
Yeah.
Is it a Camry? No, it's a
Lexus ES3.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That thing is crispy though. When you see it pull up, it's like perfect grandpa spec. I love that car, man.
Did you like growing up? Like, did you have cars like in the family that kind of pushed you that way and stuff?
I would say it more around to the not to the JDM side, but to the weird thing. So my dad was a Saab guy.
Okay.
He had. I grew up. He had the 60 Series Land Cruisers. Like that's what I got picked up from the hospital in, which is kind of where my love for Land Cruisers had. And I remember he used to tell me like, oh, you could pull a tree out of the ground.
Oh my god.
He used to swear that he could change the lights, like traffic lights. He said the high beams were so high. I remember him always flickering. And now I don't know if it was actually working because like the ambulance had the white light to trigger it, whatever. Yep. He used to claim that he could do it, but then he'd be like, oh, but it's illegal, so I don't. So he could have just been messing with me.
But
he had that, and then all the Saabs. So he had like a 9,000. The latest one he had was like the 9.3s, but he had a 9,000 turbo, 900S convertible. Not all at the same time, but he kind of went through because he was a real estate agent.
I'd say Jerry Seinfeld 900. Do you have one of those?
Yeah. It was. I loved them. They had the start. The ignition is in the center console. That's like a jet or whatever.
Such a weird.
And he was a bit of a driver, so like he used to we lived in Hamilton, but he worked in Toronto. Well, we back and forth, but he'd be bombing, getting to work, always late.
Just barreling down the QE.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Make sure that Eco Power Turbo is.
Oh my god.
100%.
Too funny, man.
I knew with that like this is like not a car you saw every day. And so that could have been kind of the planting the seeds to wanting something different.
Sure.
Was him having that, and but he wasn't really a car guy. Like he didn't fix anything. Fix cars. He was like me. If something broke, we would take it apart and try to fix it.
Yeah.
And for me, it was that and like Lego and probably RC cars.
Yeah,
I was big into RC when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and so I think that kind of led me to love cars as much as I do now. Like it's
nuts,
my only hobby, really.
Yeah. What about so for Vince, for everyone too? Like, you got an extensive list.
Yeah.
And a lot of big. Yeah, like a lot of big cars and stuff like that, right? So, what was the first one you had again?
First car was a 87 CRX.
Okay.
Manual choke, 2-barrel.
Yeah.
Got me through my first year of college.
Oh my gosh.
Costed me $150.
Oh my. Seriously?
Yeah. All I needed was rear shoes for the drums.
Yeah.
And the crack in the windshield happened after the safety, as per the mechanic. So.
Jesus. That's nuts, man.
But yeah, it was. It was one thing. I mean, you're 18, you're in high school. To have a car when you're 18 in high school, it's a big thing, right?
Oh, it's huge. That
was like 99, 2000.
Yeah, it's different nowadays, especially some of the cars that some of these kids are driving. So
I don't understand where some of these kids get their money, or just like their parents are just like, well, you need a car, let's go out and get you like a 3 Series.
Yep. Oh,
or
I know.
Like a Cayman or like a something like that. Like,
BMWs now like are nuts, right? But like again, like we'll get into that as we go type of thing. So, but
87 CRX got me through my first year of college. Like I said, going from Brampton, where I was living at the time, to Scarborough once a week.
Okay.
Sold that because I nearly fell through the floor because I rotted away.
Yeah.
Fixed that.
Yeah.
That's really what gets you with the
well, like, especially here, right?
Toyotas, like that's what kills those cars.
Yeah.
It's not the
it's our Canadian climate is what kills it. Seriously,
I mean, I was working. I was working at Canadian Tire at the time. I was an apprentice, and I get like used snow tires because apprentice back in the day. I mean, even still now, it doesn't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But, like used snow tires got me through. The rear quarters were so rotten that if you were to wash the car, you'd probably wash the quarters away.
Oh my god! Like power washer.
Yeah. The front was all fiberglass.
Okay.
I guess from the factory, where the headlight buckets were.
Yeah.
So I had to use duct tape and sheath screws and metal plate to keep it together.
Oh my god!
Don't ask me how MTO passed me over, but okay.
No kidding.
Things were different back then.
Oh, it was. Yeah. What year would that have been then? Like
99, 2000.
Oh my gosh, man.
So mind you, I'm not the smallest guy. So I tell everybody, I got a CRX. They're like, how do you fit in a CRX?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's how Vincent fits in this.
Yeah, literally. like people can't see you sitting down, but like I'm small. Like this is perfect for me, but like you guys are big. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
when we rode in it, do not go over speed bumps.
With both of us in there, it's instant
like, you need to go back with somebody else. I'm like, cool. I totally understand. Scrape. I totally understand.
Yeah.
You make it work though.
Yeah. Okay, so you had the CRX.
Yes, I did.
And then floor fell out.
Yeah. I put it back together, welded it back.
Yep.
Sold that for $250. So I made money.
So you made that. So again,
hold on. I sold it for $250 and a DTM style muffler. So with a angle 45 angle tip.
Yeah. For $250.
Yeah.
And you paid $150.
Yes.
And like a clean CRX nowadays is like $10,000.
Yes.
Like and we know guys with CRXs,
Yes,
but it's
we do.
like it's nuts.
Yes, well, those first gens are funny. I know.
Yeah.
Justin from Oblivion, he has a super clean one.
Oh, yeah.
With Mugen MF10s, I think. On
Okay.
there, the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
But he's super Honda collector though.
Yeah, we know a couple Honda collectors in the area, right? So
yeah,
yeah,
especially in this area here.
Yeah.
Then after that, I sold that. I bought my one of two Supras.
Yeah. We've had this small chat before.
Yes, an '89 Supra.
Okay.
It was white. Typical '80s burgundy interior.
See, I kind of grew up on that a little bit, which I'll get into my stuff eventually, but I love that. Like, I love white burgundy. Like, it was one of my favorite color combos.
My grandma had the Cressida, that with the white with the burgundy interior.
So
I didn't
exactly
know what Toyota or just like it was a thing in the '80s.
The first one with the digital dash. I remember that.
Yeah, I was about to ask you if I had a digital dash.
Those are even more rare. Just like,
Seriously.
I just had the analog.
I think we sold that car for $300, and it's
That
one of
is
my biggest
nuts.
regrets. It had a leaky gas tank, but it ran. It ran.
Yeah.
And if I wish I had that, because now that would be an awesome. I'd
it'd be unreal.
Thing, man. 1J swap.
Yeah.
1J's the way.
Well, yours, the white one is still 7M, right?
Yeah, the white one was 7M.
Yeah.
As in typical Supra fashion for the 7Ms, the head gaskets went.
Of course.
Because the head bolts weren't torqued down, yada yada, as per Toyota.
Yeah.
Fixed that, sold that. Then I bought my second Supra, which was a '91. That was Targa. 1J swapped it back in the day.
Yeah.
HKS everything.
I've seen the photos too. It's like so period correct. It's like straight out of.
That, what color was that one again?
That was blue.
It's
Blue
like
on black.
Austin's blue?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Blue on black. Targa.
You got to throw in some
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah, I'll throw pictures. If I can, I'll throw pictures in for the guys.
I apologize to
yeah.
the audience because it was taken on like 35mm film.
Yeah.
And then it's a photo
It's okay.
of the photo.
Yes.
Yeah, my
It's a photo
first,
of the
like,
photo.
my first, I have a picture of my first car, and I still have the picture of it in my garage, but it's a photo. I'm going to have to take a photo of the photo, right?
Pretty much.
Pardon me.
I know
Yeah.
Matt said it looked like it was somebody's throw pillow. I apologize.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the 1J swap, which would have been a hell of a car.
Yes.
Like a
1J
fun-
swap, R154.
Okay.
5-speed. TRD limited slip.
Mm-hmm.
Bomb X body kit.
Oh my god.
I forgot what the wheels were. I think they were. I don't know if they were reverse sides like you have on the FC.
Yeah. 5-star then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were 5 stars.
You know what wheels look good on those cars? Racing Hearts.
They
It was
look
like,
good too.
yeah, I love Racing Hearts on that, right? So, this is gonna be. I can't wait to post this because there's gonna be so much little.
Bro, she loves tape.
Really? Oh my god!
Here, you know what? This is
Yeah.
one of the garbage anyways. Here, you can have it.
There you go. But yeah, so what happened with that? Like, what happened with that Supra then?
So I had it to actually I had a detune.
Yeah.
Single turbo conversion.
Okay.
So without a detune, it was probably 560 to the wheels.
Wow.
Had a detune to 470.
Okay. Still healthy in a car that big.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, healthy.
Yeah.
Especially back in those times.
400. Remember back in the day when 400 was like a good number?
Yep.
It was like, yo, that guy has a 400 horsepower car.
You know what, man? I want those days to be back.
So do I.
For a
It made me feel better with my
street
cars.
car?
Like,
buddy, I'm
Yeah.
maybe 25 to the wheels in this bad girl.
But like, are
Yeah.
you really going to use 1,000 horsepower on the street?
You don't need
No.
it. Anything more
Not
than
here.
400 is only going to get you into trouble.
seriously.
You
on
could
the
still daily it. I mean, with gas now, I don't know if it would be good on gas now.
Yeah.
The way gas prices are, but
Oh,
I mean,
it's nuts.
it was decent. Sold
Yeah.
that to a guy.
I wish you still had that.
I really
Me
wish
too.
I still had that as well.
Me too.
I mean, the guy offered me good money. Like I sold
Yeah.
to some dude in Texas. He came up for. So there was Texas 2K back in the day.
Yep.
The guys would meet up at Superior Tire,
Okay.
and they'd all drive down to Texas for Texas 2K.
Wow.
So I was gonna drive down to Texas. I just want to go there for the meet, hang out with all the other cool cars.
Sure.
And the guy's like, "Hey, this is your car, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Yeah, it's my car." I told him all the mods. He's like, "I'll buy it off you right now for $28K."
Wow. Seriously.
I'm just like, "Right now?" He's like, "Yeah."
Yeah. So it's
When
got,
I'll come back from Texas after this is all done. I'll bring the money in and I'll have it freighted.
wow.
I couldn't say no. I should have said no.
Yeah.
No,
But-
but that's good. That's good money then, and even now,
Well,
that'd be good money.
like that's rare for even like someone from down there to bring a car from back here.
It's usually
so,
the other
like-
way around.
Yeah, usually we're trying to get cars from like Arizona, Texas, like everything at the bottom end, right? So
So I sold to that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And 28K later, I was just like,
yeah.
Okay, so do I buy next? I wanted to try something different, so
Yeah.
did the Honda thing. Bought a BB6 Honda Prelude, 97 22 VTEC 5-speed. Loved that thing.
Yeah.
Did cams to it. Port polished the head. Threw in a limited slip.
Yeah, just look at the tape. Yeah.
Magnaflow exhaust.
Sure.
17s brake upgrade. KYB shocks. New speed springs. Sway bars.
A proper build.
Yeah.
At the time, yeah.
Type S pistons. Type S throttle body. Type S computer.
Jesus.
240 of the wheels.
Yeah.
So
Again,
it moved
yeah.
for something that was pretty heavy for the time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
A front wheel drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of torque steer.
Big time. Big time.
I didn't want the Type SH because I didn't want to have to work on the ATTS system,
Yeah.
the active torque transfer. My cousin at the time was a tech in Honda. He's just like, they'll leak.
Yeah. Oh,
Always
big time.
leak.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, okay, forget it. Got into an accident with that, wrote that off. Because I was going through intersection, some person made a turn in front of me and diamond the crap out of the right side.
Oh, that's like my biggest fear, man. Like for me, and like you guys know, I don't drive my stuff that much. Yeah. Not only do I don't have time, but I know I just but I'm always afraid of that type of stuff, right? But you can't.
I feel the same way, especially when I'm in this thing, because like if I get hit, I'm done. But like you just can't live your life like that, man. Like you gotta just drive your cars.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the Land Cruiser with the low miles, I'm always like, oh. But this year especially, I just came to the realization it's like, we're only here once, man.
Yeah.
We get one trip around. Let's enjoy it.
I go through my phases, right, too, where like with my builds, and most people do. Like we know some guys that are pretty bipolar with it too, but like there's days where I'm like, oh man, I'm struggling with this build, and there's days where you just want to go on like Summit or whatever, Garage 16, and like just order every part because you feel like a boss. Usually it's payday when that happens, right? But
it's honestly like Jekyll and Hyde when you're ordering car parts.
Seriously,
and looking at stuff.
Yeah. Seriously, and nowadays too with the prices of everything and stuff like that, it's tough, right? But so after the Prelude, what'd you get after the Prelude then?
Well, actually, backtracking. I forgot. While I had the CRX going into the second Supra, I bought an 85 Celica GTS.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I only had that for a couple of weeks while for a buddy of mine because he was going back to London, and he's just like, I don't have a place for this, and I just want to make some money. So I bought that for $800.
I want to make some money.
Jesus.
He just wanted I guess he was just liquidating, so he bought it for $800. I sold it for $1,500.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Which is still cheap now for that, right? So
for a Celica GTS, 22 RE.
Yeah.
If we only knew.
So honestly, I look back on it now.
I would have bought every 32 that
seriously,
guy had for
man.
10K. Give me them all. I'll take them all, bro.
Was there like again, like we'll continue on with some of the history too, but like for both you guys too, were there guys in your high school that really they had like the cool cars?
Yes.
Like for me, like I mean, I'm a 90 baby, so like for me in high school, that's what, like 2008 and older than that, right? So 2004, 2008 maybe. Like we had one guy, we had one guy with an Eclipse, like GSX, like
funny you say that.
Yeah, like such an awesome car. We had an old truck that was there too. I forgot. I think it was an old Ford. I could be wrong on that. Even my one buddy had a Colorado, and at the time too, like it wasn't anything like special, but it was the inline 5, like sounded sick. Like it sounded so good. He put Corbros in it. The wheels I wasn't too big on, but like such an awesome car, and like.
Those had 5-cylinders, you said?
Yeah, some of them. Yeah, the little Colorados and like the GMC Canyons, you get an inline 5.
Trailblazer engine.
Yeah, yeah, it sounded sick. For me, 5-cylinders sound amazing, and they're half the money of.
3.
Yeah, what's that?
Did you hear 3?
Exactly right, but like for you guys, like, did you guys have guys in school that you were like maybe it pushed you towards the Toyota stuff or maybe whatever or
Toyota stuff, but like so when I was 15, I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to be an architectural engineer. I couldn't afford.
So did I.
I couldn't afford the school.
I couldn't afford a Lego designer.
You did? I wanted to design roller coasters. Like Roller Coaster Tycoon was like that was my shit, man. Like I was all over it, right?
Super in demand.
Yeah, seriously. But then, and if me designing roller coasters, everyone can ride them, right? Because I would have them like this. You know what I mean?
Like,
so
you need to be this tall.
Yeah, seriously.
Rated G for everybody. So I wanted to be an architecture engineer because after I was done school, I wanted to design cars.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford the 12K at Ryerson at the time.
Sure.
For a semester.
Yeah.
My cousin actually was a mechanic in California, and at the time, import drag racing was big. Early 2000s. Naira circuit, just like Fast and Furious was talking about. IDRC was a big thing.
Was it hot import nights at the time too? I guess, or was that a little bit later?
Well, that was was it hot import? Yeah, hot import nights was there. There was import show off.
Yeah.
This is all because of California stuff.
A lot of face-off stuff too, right? Domestic versus
domestic
whatever,
versus import.
which is nuts nowadays. Because back then, like I remember watching like Pinks, like on TV, and like an import guy would show up and like he'd go up against like some 4th gen Trans Am or something, and like just wipe the floor with him now. Whereas now it's like some of these guys are winning, like all out like import face-offs like versus domestics, where you got guys in 1,500 horsepower Civics that are just blowing the doors off of guys. It's nuts. It's a different world, right? But
back then it was like, okay, so my cousin came from the import drag racing circuit, and he introduced me to a lot of the guys out there. Like all the Honda guys will know. I think it's on Netflix, The Fastest Car.
Okay.
Busy Ezrahoa had that Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
So he introduced me to Busy Ezrahoa. Tony Fuchs, who ran a DA Integra.
Okay.
Ed Bergenholtz, who ran a CRX.
Busy had the CRX too, right?
Yeah, I think he had an EF.
Oh, EF. Yeah.
Or maybe he did have a CRX.
Is that the Bishimoto guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So I met him before he was Bisimoto.
Yeah. Okay. Some of his builds are nuts, man.
Bro, that's Porsche. The whale
Bisimoto
tail one.
Porsche?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's still my favorite Porsche.
Just nuts, right?
Love that car.
But that, so yeah, like at that time you're looking at that stuff, and
that kind of pushed me to the whole import thing.
Sure.
And going back to that guy in high school, it was because you said Eclipse, he had a Eagle Talon.
Okay.
TSI all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
500 or 600 horsepower. And this guy was 18.
Oh my gosh.
17, 18, and it was just like...
Yeah.
He was probably... Rumor was he was involved in some...
Stuff?
Yeah.
Stuff?
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that, right?
Yeah. Some illegal activities which got him this car.
Yeah.
But it was stuff like that, and I had a buddy who had CRXs back in the day. It was, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And to push me in that direction towards cars, because I was drawing cars since I was a kid. I mean, the Hot Wheels collection, the Dickie cars. Everybody had a Hot Wheels playset where they had the cars inside, like the plastic, the fold.
Yeah. With the little road map and stuff, yeah.
And like the road map, the city carpet, like
big time. That was like for me. That was my biggest thing was Hot Wheels, right? So
yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
Matchbox or Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
So it came down to every time I go Toys R Us or like wherever, I'd be like, buy one Hot Wheel.
Yeah.
And it would be friends would come over. I'd bring on a grocery bag full of Hot Wheels and we just play.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so like eventually too. So you got the 86 now.
Yes,
right.
I had the 86. So previously, before the 86 was a GR WX.
Okay.
2009.
Yeah.
Before that was a CL9 TSX.
Okay.
It was pretty much, I called it my 4-door prelude.
Yeah. That's K24 in that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was K24 6-speed.
Yeah.
Those are cool cars.
Yeah, healthy motor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sucker for RSXs. You guys know that too, right? And some guys will do the swap and do whatever, but I'm cool with TSXs.
Like the latest generation RSX you're talking about?
Yeah. Like I'm a big touring car guy. Like I love racing. Like that's my biggest thing is what got me into cars was motorsports and vibrant colors and stuff like that. And I remember watching I did a livery thing that I did on Max Attack, I think, but the real time Acuras and stuff like that.
I was gonna say the Integra and the TSX.
Yeah. Like I love that style. So I can get behind that movement, right? So
for me, it's just I have a hard time getting behind front wheel drive, man. Like I've been in a couple. There's a buddy of mine who had a K24 swapped EP3.
Yep.
And that I was like, okay, I like being in that and you know him. I'm like, okay, I get it, but there's just something about just having that oversteer, man. You got just to be able to like dance. You can't really do that as much in a front wheel drive. You know, it's way more precise where you can have like a little bit of flow in your driving in your driving style when you have a rear wheel.
I've heard the fits are really good though.
They're light.
Like my one buddy Dalton, as people know on here, like he's been driving a fit around lately, and he's told me that the balance is like for a front wheel drive car, man. It's actually pretty sick.
You had a little bit of oversteer.
Well, the gas tank I think is mounted in the middle of those cars too, right? From what I've been told. I could be wrong on that.
Behind the I-beam.
Yeah, but I've heard they're pretty good. But I'm the same way. Like I've always been more attracted to like the rear wheel drive. It just depends on the discipline for me. Like I like all platforms, I guess, but yeah, it's
that's what kind of led me to really love the 32 driving style, because it's rear wheel drive most of the time, and then as soon as you start to get slip, it starts to push power to the front. So you're able to drive like a rear wheel drive and get the ass out of it, and then just stay on it. And it's like, for something that old, it makes you feel like a race car driver.
Oh, big time!
Because you can drive way above your ability.
Yeah.
Because the car is just so well thought out. You know, where you get a little bit sideways, it pushes power to the front. You just stay on it and point and shoot. It pulls you out of the corner. So that I've made a number of my friends very scared.
Yeah.
Approaching corners that you shouldn't, at speeds you shouldn't, and it just pulls you right out.
Well, we've been to like Japan Classic, which is another event that we do, right? Like you took some people for a couple rides last year.
Yes, there's a revolving door as per my wife.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a crazy year last year we had last year, right, with the water issues and the trailering and stuff like that. But no, we're not. Yeah, we won't get it. Yeah,
no. Even I was just preparing, getting everything ready. It was just like, okay, make sure the car's good.
Yeah.
And then driving to your place, it was just like, crap.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a thing, but like that car, again. So would you like the 86 now? Like just fast tracking a little bit towards some of the later cars, whatever. Before we kind of move on a little bit, the 86 is, you probably put the most heart and soul into that now, right?
Yes.
It's that one's an 85, right?
It's an 85 Corolla.
Okay, yeah, and I know the story with that. Same thing. It was a Montreal story, wasn't it?
It was in Montreal.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine and I sold the WRX.
Yeah.
And I told my wife I really want an 86 because I went to Japan for 3 years for training.
Yeah.
For Subaru?
No, for martial arts.
Oh. I know that.
You did?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You lived out there?
Yeah, for 3 years.
I didn't know that.
Jealous.
This is why we do the podcast right here. It's for this, right?
I didn't know.
We're starting. You can tell we're getting comfortable.
You're a lethal weapon.
Yeah.
So.
What type of martial arts?
Second degree black belt in karate, black belt in taekwondo.
Bro. Bro, I didn't know that.
Muay Bran, Muay Thai.
I did Taekwondo level, like, I got a green belt with a yellow stripe or vice versa.
I backed out.
That was it.
I did, like, maybe 3 classes, and I was like, fuck this, bro.
Wing Chun, Guangdo, Aikido, weapons training.
Damn,
Bro, you gotta start doing UFC, here, man. What the hell are we doing? Kaizosupplyco, Garage 16 does UFC. We can do our own, too.
Do they really?
Seriously, they sponsor, I don't know the guy's name, but I'm sure Chris, like, Lopez knows, whatever, but we can get to that point at some point, maybe whatever, but...
I want to fight.
I'm loving that fight.
Yeah, you're a lover, right? So,
but it's, you know what? That's the true mark of a man. So you have the ability to destroy, but you also have the
you're talking on the track
to contain.
Do it on the track.
Well, I mean, I got bullied. Like I said, I'm not the biggest guy. I got bullied when I was a kid.
Sure.
When I started martial arts, I'm just like, my dad did it. He stopped at Orange Belt.
Oh wow, there you go.
And I'm just like, well, my dad's also military too, so it kind of filtered into that. So I went over there for 3 years. I met some really cool car people.
Did he have anything car related crazy or at all? Or
let's see. Well, my dad's a diesel mechanic by trade.
Okay.
Slash tool and die.
Yeah.
And he had. What do you learn? So he learned stick.
Yeah.
On military grade back in the Philippines.
Okay.
Military grade 6x6 with non-synchronized transmission.
Oh my gosh.
Double clutch. You need double clutch.
Yeah,
exactly what it is. He said,
I drive big trucks and like you got and anyone here, like if you drive a standard car and you can tell me that you can hop into a big rig and drive it like a car, you've never been in one before because it's a night and day difference. I've had friends that are cocky with it and they're like, oh, no problem. And I toss them in the truck and it's a completely different story.
They're scratching their head going unga bunga.
Literally, seriously. Like, and it's grinding and finding, right? But continue, sorry, yeah.
He literally said, you know, if you're going up a mountain and you're not in the right RPM, you're not shifting gears.
Yeah, seriously.
So he had that, and then when he came over, he had a 65 Mustang.
Oh, no way.
Fastback, 289.
Dude, Tokyo Drift vibes, bro. Tokyo Drift right there.
So it was blue with the black racing stripes. And then he had a 440 Cornet.
Oh, wow. How did you end up in imports? Those are some pretty, like...
Don't get me wrong, I was a big muscle guy.
Yeah.
All my uncles had, like, Mustangs. My cousin's in Mississauga, he had, like, Fox body Mustangs. Yeah. He's been through a few Mustangs. My sister's boyfriend's had Mustangs.
Jeez.
Growing up, I really wanted a 71 Chevelle LS6 454.
It's funny. My first dream car was a 64 Impala.
Oh, 64 Impala is like mine. Like my dad was a car guy, but like nothing like crazy. So like he had a Z28, which I ended up getting one like a 10-year difference. So he had a 79, mine was an 89. My IROC there, right? But like he knew cars and stuff and whatever, but he didn't really like have anything like like he had a Mustang, but it was like hand painted. He bought it for $75 and it was like a 4-door. It was like a Mark II or something. It was something stupid.
To be alive back then.
Oh, yeah,
Mustang II.
Seriously, right? Whereas I've always like the Boss is a big car for me. Like I love the Boss, but like I've said it a lot of times on on my Instagram and stuff like that. Like a 65 Continental, man. Like
that's Suicide.
Suicide doors.
Oh, Suicide, white wall on the ground, chop top. Like that's. I don't know what it is, man. Like I've wanted to do something like that at the end of my car stuff. So like the people on the channel that know, like obviously we're doing the drift car.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how far that goes and how long that's gonna take. But I want to have the track fun. We have the Acura, got the RX-7 and stuff like that, right? Yep. But I love at the end of it to go low and slow. I wouldn't mind an old like 7 Series. That I can lay on the ground. Like I like obviously we have a lot of VIP friends too.
Dude, if you bought like a blow motor 7 Series to do a simple LS.
Yeah.
Keep it NA.
Seriously.
You know. And just cruise.
And just lay on the ground.
You know.
And like I got a bit of a bigger family now too, right? With stuff, so I can fit everyone in the back and.
So what did I see the other day? I saw some dude. I don't know if he was in Poland. Took a Buick Wildcat.
Yeah.
And put it on a 7 Series chassis.
Really? A what? Sorry.
Buick Wildcat.
What is that?
Buick
Wildcat. It's like one of those like the Bel Air big sedan.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
But it was 4
on a 7 Series. That's that.
And surprisingly, he's like, it fits.
Oh wow, eh?
Yeah. So he took the body, body swapped it onto the 7 Series because the 7 Series was written off.
No kidding, eh?
So it has everything that the 7 Series has: power windows, power this, 7 Series dash.
But it looks
patina Wildcat on the outside.
Oh wow,
that's pretty cool.
What so for the 86 then? So like. Because I know you've put a lot of money into it and parts and you're doing the motor now.
Doing the motor in the fall. Yes.
Okay, yeah, and then
you're holding off till
I just want to have some fun with it.
Techno toy tuning everywhere underneath.
Suspension wise,
yeah. But after, so like is that that'll be your baby for a bit? Yeah.
Put it in my hand.
Yeah, I'll do the best I can. Toss it. You know what I mean? Yeah. People watching right now and listening and stuff like that. Like this is the first episode, so we have a lot of.
We're growing
stuff,
pains.
stuff we got to work out, right? As you guys can tell, even with my voice and stuff like that. But so so you got the Outback, you got the 86, and then for now that's pretty much it, right? So
I think the 86 has been in hand for 3 years. And seeing,
I've been trying to get you to get an R31.
I'd love an R31.
Yeah.
Or
we'll get there.
Yeah.
If I can, I'd skip the R31.
Yeah. Give us views so we can get an R31.
The problem with Hawkins is they're just.
Well, there's one for sale in Toronto right now, which is so rare,
it's
but
right drive,
it is, yeah.
Wait, is it a white one with the black?
No, it's the red one.
Because it's the white one with the SR20 in it.
Yeah, no, this one's red.
This
one's red.
So,
and they were RB20, right? Was there RB20 in those? In the R31?
No, they had a straight 6, right?
L20.
Yeah.
L20.
Wow, that's basically a Datsun.
R31s were not RB. I think they were RB20s. The RS turbos were RB20s.
Okay, yeah.
So I thought you were talking about the Hocko.
Yeah,
Hockos were L20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, the R31s and R30s were RB20 turbos.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
and then that's where the whole thing where Nissan's just like, hey, we're going to take apart a Porsche 959.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Hiccups is born.
Yeah, literally.
And all-wheel drive is born.
32,
yeah.
And 32
it's
is just
crazy.
Like,
like, even my car, like the FC, is so heavily based on the 944. And, like, has a little bit of 928, a little bit of 924 in there. Like, it's very based off of that.
Maybe it was a sign of the times for, like, the late 80s. Like, even
Porsche's been a brand forever, right? So,
but, like, if the FC and the Mark III Super, you put them side by side, you'd think they were just, like, Koki versus Zenki.
Literally. Yeah. Seriously, right? So, but...
I was close to getting an N44 before I bought the Skyline. That was one of the other cars that I went and looked at. Around the same money at the time.
Is there a car, like... I was actually going to kind of get into this, but, like, for you two guys, like... For me, I like, my first car, like, I had the 300ZX, Z31. I started off good. My first car I almost bought, though, was an MX-6.
A Mystère, MX-6 Mystère?
Yeah, and like I raced one in the in the past, but like this was like years after I saw my first MS6. I ended up racing one and stuff, but I regret not buying that. This thing had like a small kit on it, like I think it was on 18s, like small exhaust. It was pretty basic, right? It was all white, whatever. But is there a car for you two guys that maybe you regret not buying, or maybe you like passed on it or stuff like that, and you're like, ah. I know it might be hard because you guys have had such a list, right? But
yes. So after I wrote off the Prelude, I was looking at the time, a 1999 Integra Type R.
Okay.
The guy didn't want to budge on price because I was only given $12,000, unfortunately, after the accident of the Prelude.
Yeah.
He was asking for that time $14,000 for an Integra Type R.
Oh my gosh!
And
I can't get over that.
This was 2008.
Oh my gosh!
$14,000.
Yeah, I was around the same time. Maybe it would have been a bit later. Could have been like 2012. Right before I bought the Pajero. And I found a Pajero Evo.
Oh.
For, I think the guy was asking $12,000 or something for it.
He didn't want to budge on price either, did he?
Well, I just didn't have the money. I
honestly,
could have been like gone and like begged my mom like, hey, like, let me $6,000 or something.
It's so tough, man. I passed on.
That's a $50,000 car now. You know.
I passed on a DC2 Integra that my buddy had in high school too. A close buddy. I played hockey with him, and it had a fresh B18 C5 from Technotic put in there, like crate motor, and I wanted to buy it. I passed on it. To behold too, like he ended up putting in like into a wall in the off ramp, like hydroplaning and stuff. But
that hurts.
Yeah, like I had like, you know what I mean, I had the 300ZX and stuff, which I really liked. It was Swiss cheese underneath, right? NA car, and at the time too, like my first car, like I'm 16 years old, I'm ripping this thing through Canadian winters, and like it's got
the 300ZX.
Yeah.
Man's on emissions, ripping it.
I drove that thing up to Key River, which is like just south of Sudbury, or North Bay area. Well, I know two different highways, whatever, right? But
yeah, I remember when gas was like less than 70 cents.
Oh, I drove it up there.
When you didn't even think about where you got gas.
Nope.
Yep. No, I drove it up there for an after prom, like this was like after I graduated, like party. My buddies and I rented a cottage. I drove it up there with like 6 2.4s in the back. My buddy was sitting in the front with a sack of potatoes, and like I just remember I remember driving that on like Highway 69, and like the freaking amount of rear camber I had on the stock suspension because it was so heavily weighted.
I was gonna say.
And like the whole way you're driving, like the car talks to you too, right? Like the fuel level's low, headlights are on, like it was such an awesome car.
Like,
but
actually speaks to you.
It does speak to you. Like there's guys, like we know guys that there's a couple of guys that we know that have 300ZX, and like it'll tell you if you leave your headlights on, you get out of the car.
Yep.
It'll literally go, bing, headlights are on.
Oh.
And it's sick, but
the old Maximas were like that. The Stanzas and the Maximas.
Yeah, I had a stand. Well, I had a stand.
Cool,
I derbied a
Stanza.
Stanza.
Leave it to Japan, man.
Yeah, but I love
get the toll road machines. I always pull them out when I get the cars. It's too much.
Yeah, I loved the car. Like it was a sick car. Like I loved the orange dash. Loved the smell. It's kind of why I got into the RX-7. I've always been an RX-7 guy. The guys on the channel know from doing my top 10. Like I saw my first FD I ever saw. I fell in love with it at the Delta Hotel. It's a yellow 93.
They're beautiful cars, man. It's still to this day one of the most beautifully looking cars.
Honestly, to me, it's got that Japanese kind of like Viper look to it.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah, like
the curves and everything.
Yeah, I just obsessed with the car.
I got one of the best motoring tapes, VHSs, and it has an FD on the front that's blue with the white stripes.
Yeah.
And when I thought it was a
Viper, yeah.
And then you look, oh no, it's
an
empty.
For me, like growing
especially
up,
with that color, like you see, I think they were deliberately. It might have had a kid on it.
Yeah.
I think it was trying to look like a Viper, but
the Viper was such a poster car, man, and like especially in that livery, and like I loved it. So like now I got the FC and stuff. Like I had a 2-point slow Volkswagen. It was absolutely garbage.
Yes.
I had a F196 F150, which I really liked a lot. Bench seat in the front, true 5-liter up front.
Okay, so you didn't have to do the 5.4, pull out the spark plugs.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, I had the 5-liter. I ended up derbying the truck. Actually, I ruined a lot of cars, man. I ruined it.
I ruined a lot of cars.
Yeah, I feel bad. Like I ruined a Tercel, which I wish I kept, and cars I got for dirt cheap. Like I got a Del Sol for like $400.
Sorry, JD.
And then derbied it.
I didn't derby it per se. enduro raced it. So I put that car, I think, like 300 laps around Flamborough Speedway until...
I would say, was this over the span of a season?
No, this was in one race. This was an enduro race. Yeah. And me being a small guy, I had to put a cage in there. And, like, I had some Jimmy Redneck, like, derby cage. And, like, I was sitting like this. And I remember going around the corners and stuff and, like, just getting tossed around. Like, there's guys in that series there or that, whatever. The King car was either VTEC Honda or 3.5, like, VQ. Yeah. VQ G or, well, there wasn't many 350s, but the Gs were a little bit more easier to get, right?
Or like an Altima, maybe?
Yeah, Altimas were big too in there, right? Yeah. But, yeah, like, I loved it. I had time with it, and then I came off, like, 4, and I'm pretty sure, I got into a bender, like, earlier in the race, and I had a flat tire, so my pit crew decided to change the tire, and I don't think torqued it, but I came off the bend, and all 4, like, lug bolts snapped right off, and I just went down like this, sparks flying everywhere into the infield, and I looked over, and I painted it like Team Penske at the time, so, like, black, orange, and white, and I just see this stupid, like marking paint, construction marking paint, orange rim just flying down the straightaway.
And you're just like...
Oh, yeah. And I'm sitting there. I actually sold the car. I technically didn't sell it, but I traded the car to a guy for a Dodge Caravan, which I ended up using just strictly for a dumpster for all my, like, scrap metal and parts, right?
That's what the Caravans are good for.
Yeah. Like, on this podcast, like, I'm easily the most, like, redneck type of guy here, right? Like, I'm from the derby world and stuff, right? But growing up, the Hot Wheels and...
Of course.
I loved racing, like, obsessed with racing. Like, I follow racing closely, NASCAR, IMSA, IndyCar, F1, V8 supercars, like, everything. I love all racing, right? And my background is more motorsports. Like, I still remember, like, growing up in Brampton, like, my cousin, so we had a 91, I think, DA Integra, like, orange, like, on chrome wheels, like, just ripping around Brampton and stuff like that. Like, the sounds of cars is what gets me going, right? So,
yep.
But yeah, it's a lot different nowadays, especially, like, for us, like, we're older and stuff, and we've done some stupid things in the past.
Questionable experiences?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, all the questionable things I ever did in a car,
yeah,
I wasn't putting other people...
Well, that's
in danger for the most part.
Yeah.
You know? Or not deliberately.
Big time. So that pretty much brings
things
us...
have changed.
Yeah, brings us to, like, kind of, like, on today's scene and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
It's tough, like, again, like, I kind of look at it in different ways. So, like, I met both you guys through another event, too, right? Where we hung out and stuff like that. And,
yes.
And I did an interview with you.
Oh, what was that? That was
Midnight Misfits.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah, so we did Midnight Misfits in Milton, which that was a good meet. It was still a good meet.
It was until that one.
Yeah, it got out of hand, right? But we did an interview and stuff like that, and then I started going to a couple other meets you guys were hosting, and then we ended up at Japan Classic together, and now we're doing this and stuff, right? Like, for you guys, how has, like, meets changed? So for me, like, when I had my Tiburon. I took my Tiburon. The Tiburon was weird for me. It was a little sentimental value because, like, I ended up reconnecting with my now wife now and stuff. Like, we have the kids and everything, right? But I used to go to, like, West of 6. So
I remember West of 6 in Oakville.
Yeah, it was a good spot. It was hella dangerous, man.
Speed bumps.
Well, speed bumps, they're not even that. Like, the exit was so sketch. There's a set of lights there now, but, like, I used to hide behind the guardrail to film. Like, this is way before Max Attack even really started. Mm-hmm. Just to film, and, like, guys would dip out, and, like, the first anti-lag, the first two-step, the first no-lift shift is where I heard that there. And, like, some of the cars were pretty wild, but, like, I used to do West of 6. There was Terry Tim's that we used to do, or Tefa.
This might age me, but I remember when Terry Tim's was still a field.
Oh my god. Well, that's true. Yeah, growing up, right?
And, like, I was at the Canadian Tire across the street, but yeah, Terry Tim's was a thing. It was actually decent back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun, like before.
Like the meat, like the meat itself, yeah.
But it wasn't more. It was less of a meat, more of just like, hey, if you know, just like how bubble tea is now. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now it's just got in a hand. But anyway.
Yeah. But what are other meets that you guys went to? Like, did you ever do what was it, La Palma or La Poma?
La Paloma?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we did a couple of times when Urtefa had their thing.
Yeah.
I did Urtefa a bunch of times.
Yeah, I did Urtefa one. I went to Urtefa show, and I did one at I went to an Urtefa event at here Ontario, and like the 401 area, like Costco and stuff.
Yep.
The GTA people will know the area, like here Ontario and Britannia.
Yep.
And it was so bonkers, and I remember getting chirped by a Genesis driver. And, like, that's a low. Like, when a guy driving a Genesis is chirping you. And,
like punch your card.
Yeah.
In your Tiburon?
I was in a Tiburon. He called me
a
he called me a wannabe Genesis, which was fine. I get it.
Wannabe, it came
I know.
first.
It's a predecessor.
I know. And I knew, like, I know what the Tiburon is. I actually wish that Hyundai and Kia and stuff have made some big strides, like, now. Like, I kind of wish...
Except an engine reliability, but
but I wish I wish that they would rebuild the Tiburon and make it and try to make it compete with like the Miata and the BRZ.
Like, so like a smaller Genesis,
a baby Genesis, essentially, right?
That would be interesting
because they were kind of the same, like similar wheelbase. No,
yeah, the Genesis was a little bit bigger, and then obviously rear wheel drive versus front wheel.
Yeah,
and the Beta 2 motor was garbage. Like it was such a garbage.
Was it 1.8?
Mine was 2 liter. So you had either the 2 liter.
Oh, you had the second gen Genesis then.
No.
Sorry, Tiburon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the original, like the 4i, like I hate that car so much, but the 4i, the RD1, I think it was, and RD2, had the 1.8, I think 1.6.
I remember when those came out. It was just like, oh, Tiburon.
Yeah.
What the heck does that mean?
But the GK that I had, and I think it was GD after. I could be wrong, the facelift version, but 2 liter, and then they had the 2.7 V6.
I remember those.
And I owned a Tiburon, and I demo crossed a Tiburon. So
it came full circle.
Yeah, tough car though, man. I'll give it credit. I took that thing off jumps and beat the absolute living hell out of it, and what ended up killing it in the long run, which now with my more mechanical abilities I probably could have fixed. It was just the motor got sent so far back into the firewall that it just started beating stuff off the motor.
That's not good.
No, but yeah, I wish now, but like. Sorry. Oh, yeah. But,
Sorry. Move your butt. Get out of here.
But yeah, with today's scene now, again, we can get into it kind of quickly and stuff like that, but, like, how do you guys view it now? Because it seems, for me personally, like, I find that over the past couple of years that people, again, like, I don't want to sound like cocky or whatever, because we're all humble in our whatever, right? Like, we have our vibe and stuff like that. But I find that people are trying to bring stuff back that's already been here and are pretending to reinvent. So, like, throughout the years, like, there was people putting, like, lettering on tires and stuff, which that's been around since the 70s in NASCAR.
Yes.
Like, the old, IMSA, like, GTU days, especially with wide bodies. Like, we know, like, silhouette cars, Group 5 racing. Like, that stuff has been there already, right? Whereas you got guys now that are like, bro, like, I got something that you've never seen before type thing, but it's like, you kind of do. Now, there's some builds that I totally respect that's out there, and then there's builds that are really nice that get ruined by the owner, and then there's guys that are more genuine owners that have, like, maybe a lesser build, which I find whatever. But I find nowadays like, the cloud chasing is getting out of hand, and it's getting to the point where it's like, at least in this area, like it is a little sketchy bringing your car to some meets, and there's probably some kid right now that, you know what I mean, is probably chirping the podcast saying this guy's an idiot, like I'm soft, like whatever, right? But
I think the biggest kind of shift has been with social media, right? Like,
yeah.
Yes.
To be honest with you, myself, up until 5 years ago, maybe even less, like, I wasn't really a part of any sort of meet scene. Like, I loved cars, mainly because the majority of my friends that my main friend group I've had since, like, elementary school.
Yeah.
So, but no one else was really into cars the way I was. I was kind of alone in that,
Same.
So I didn't really, I wasn't exposed to a lot of possibilities with meets and stuff.
Whatever.
Yeah, the club how we all met, that was kind of my first, like, kind of intro into, like, proper meets and like having a group of people that are all kind of like-minded.
Sure.
And it was a game changer, and you know, we learned from that, and we're, you know, what we're doing I love, but I think what a lot of we're seeing now is just, it's literally what you would call the cloud chasing. It's like, it's not about the cars anymore.
No.
For a lot of this, it's about showing out, you know, and for me it's like, I just don't get it, man. Like,
it's different now. Again, with those meets, like even back in the day, like Artefa was pretty wild. Like there was a couple nights that were wild.
Was crazy back in
Woodbridge. But now, like,
there was crazy things, but it wasn't. You didn't have people getting like slammed 40 feet off the side of the car.
Yeah.
You know,
Artefa kind of stopped because they went racing after, and some kid died.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, stuff again, like,
but I mean,
I'm sure I can admit that I've done
we've
on
all,
closed streets and stuff. Yeah,
we've all allegedly, you can bleep this one out, have driven above speed limits.
We all have.
100%. But
yeah,
in most, it's not. You know, I always, for myself, was either on the highway or somewhere where, and it was nighttime, where like you're as safe as you can be doing unsafe things.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like the sketchier and more unsafe it is, that's what's drawing them in, which is it's crazy, man.
That's what makes everybody cool.
Like,
well, and some cars are being ruined now that, you know, like I remember, and again, like I'm not trying to chirp a certain fan base or whatever, but like I'm just basing facts here, okay? Like I remember when the G35 came out, it was a pretty sick car. Back in the day, like it was a Need for Speed Underground, like it was almost a baller status at some point where it was like, yo, this guy's got a G35, like it was pretty
18s, Brembos,
like dude, and like
the
Infinity, and the 350Z, and like I've heard VQs sound good with the proper exhaust and done up. I have honestly I'll admit I've heard it's like a VR6, right? Like I've heard.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, if they're done right, like I think agency power makes a single like a catback and stuff.
I think too the JDM ones with the dual intake plenums, if you do the proper intake, you can get a little extra sound out of them. But still,
they get the cars are ruined now because
it's straight pipe.
Yeah, well, it's straight pipe, and guys are just being goofs with it, and you know, like obviously a lot of people make fun of Mustangs and stuff, and it's honestly sometimes it's the design and the driver and cold tires and like a combination, but there's people that go to these meets now, and like just cause shit because they're, I don't know, like they do it for Instagram, they do it for TikTok, they do whatever, and like. It's a different scene nowadays, and for me personally, like what we have going on, and that's the way you kind of have to do is you have to keep stuff a little bit quieter, and you know what I mean, and you have to have a trust. Like we have trust with our guys, right?
The only way we can do it is to lead by example, right? Yeah. Like you can't expect. You got to think too. A lot of these kids who are coming in now, they don't know. They have no point of reference, right? Like pre-social media, there was really, unless you knew, if you were in the know, there was really no way for you to see the good side of it. And I think as much as the scene, there is like a lot of negative directions that things are happening. Yeah. There's also the true enthusiast like counterculture where there is more and more pushback now, and I think it's just like how with everything in life, it kind of is gonna move in swells, and things tend to regulate themselves one way or another. And really, the only way we're going to do that is just by continuing to try to do the right thing, right?
Like you said, set the example.
And lead by example.
It's tough to lead. Like, it's hard to, like, we can lead by example. It's tough to grow without, like, the bad getting in. And, like, I like to think, like, we've had a couple, like, small instances. I can't even say the word. Yeah, sorry. You know what I mean? But we've had a couple of, like, issues in the past, too, with people. And most people have been pretty good with acting out at meets and stuff like that. But... like for me too, like I find a lot of cars are built the same too.
Cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like again, like
I can understand, man. Some people don't have necessary vision. They just see something and they're like, I'm just gonna try to do.
Well, they're inspired too, right, by certain builds, which is fine. Like I'm not gonna bash on people's builds because
it's not quite respect all builds, but I'm not gonna bash everyone.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And and like even though I've always been heavily JDM, and that's pretty much how we all kind of met and stuff like that. Like we're a big more JDM stuff, and we have our vibes with Period Correct and the motorsports stuff. Like that's our gig, right? But I'm not gonna like shoot down on some kid that's whatever, or he's ripping in like if he's on reps or whatever, right?
Because for me, cool is cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to. There's no right way to do anything.
There is lots of wrong ways to do stuff.
Yeah.
There's definitely wrong ways, but there's no correct way.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, to me, as long as you have passion towards it. And, then I'm with it, man. I can get behind even a car that I would never want to own. I can look at it and be like, oh, that's a cool build.
100%.
And seeing someone's passion for it is also a big part of it.
Big time.
I see how excited someone's getting in there, I'll play along.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it makes a big difference too, and when you start seeing people's passions poured into builds and stuff like that, and like I've been around the block where too, like with the Tiburon, like I plasti dipped the wheels, I plasti dipped the center part of the rear bumpers to make it look like I had like a diffuser. Like it was
You're
pretty.
not a true enthusiast unless you plasti dip something.
Literally, like the wing was done. I had a Kenwood like speaker, obviously, right? I had a Kenwood like decal on the back. I had a shocker on the front, and like I did some dumb
like this,
like the JDM shocker. Like I had it like
eBay sticker pack.
Seriously, man. But I also learned a lot on the car. Like it was the first car that I did like my first ever exhaust kind of work on, and like I rolled the fenders with a baseball bat on it. Like
as is every driveway.
Yeah, literally, right? Like I did my first ever like HIDs when HIDs were cool, and I was like,
those Litec HIDs were the best,
dude.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Oh yeah.
Like,
But just act like you've been there before if you can, and
like if I had that same Catera that I had then, I would change pretty much everything that I did to that car.
Yeah,
I would
dude.
do differently.
Yeah.
You put underglows.
I'm not.
See?
Yeah.
I know
I didn't do it then.
Dude, my grandma had like what did she have, like an 02 Grand Am, like Pontiac Grand Am. It was like a ugly turquoise. Like it was brutal. And I
don't see any of those anymore.
No.
Wait, turquoise? I think my ex-girlfriend had.
Dude, it was rough, and I wanted to like do that car up. I was like, I gotta put wheels on this thing. Like it was so like it was like 8 mile.
It's a fancier J body.
Seriously, it is, honestly, if you think about it, right? And those motors, I think that one had the 3.1 in it too, like just...
3.1s don't die.
No, I don't, man. They're crazy, right?
But everything around it turned to dust.
Oh,
well, whatever. I mean, so they put the computer...
When's the last time you saw one of those on the road?
Yeah.
A Grand Am?
Yeah.
Oh, plenty
Not
of
just
I know where...
There's plenty up in Arthur, man.
I know where they all end up. They all end up with me in the Derby pit, man. I'll tell you right now. They do, man. Seriously.
It's like the Sunfires. Like when I was like in college, that was like when I was working at Future Shop. That was like every third car was a Sunfire or Cavalier.
Yeah.
Wanted 212s in the back.
Yeah.
Like I was responsible for so much noise violations in different neighborhoods with trunks rattling out of control. When this guy's bringing in, even at that time, a $500 car and putting like $2,000 worth of stuff with sound or audio equipment into it. But now it's like when you do see them now, they're usually mint because the only way they could have survived is they were never parked outdoors.
No,
they were kept inside.
Some old guy's garage, right?
Yeah.
So like some Portuguese guy kept it on Dupont in his garage somewhere.
Seriously, yeah.
And like little Portugal, it's just like you know.
You see those.
What now? Like so with the new scene that's going on and stuff, right? So what are for new scene cars? Are there any cars you guys could get behind? Like me personally, like I will admit, like I know like whatever, but my wife and I kind of have one, but like the Kona N, like I love the Kona N. I kind of like it type of thing. Like I can get behind that and stuff like that, but
I have a real, no offense to any Kia Honda guys out there. I have a hard time getting behind it.
Yeah.
Any sort of Hondas. I will say.
Yeah.
Design wise.
Yeah.
I think they're some of the coolest designs going.
The new Santa Fe's nuts.
Looks like a Land Rover, to be honest.
It does.
The Santa Fe's cool.
Yeah.
The Kona N, there's the whatever that concept all electric one.
Oh,
that's
the Ioniq 5 or
well, the Ioniq 5 is
cool.
Just N.
Is it Delta?
Maybe
Is
it's
it called
the
the
N.
Delta or something?
The Ioniq 5 is one of the most compelling looking electric cars. I think they made a nice point between like retro futuristic and like no, there's that weird one that looks like it wants to be a Porsche.
Yeah,
that one, I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
I think it's the Ioniq 6.
Maybe.
Yeah, they just released it, right?
The 5's not rounded. The 5 is like boxy.
Yeah.
But then there's
I know the one you're talking about.
The concept one that looks kind of like a DeLorean.
Yeah.
That's such a cool design, and so I appreciate what they're doing there.
Sure.
But like, is that gonna be the
Is that going to be like the model? Like that's going to come out? Is it
apparently?
Is it a styling exercise?
It might be, but like remember the FT1, which was now the Supra, the Mark V. Like the FT1 was sick.
Oh, the concept.
And they kind of went away from it a little bit, right? But a lot of concept cars do that too, right?
There were some cool ones. There was the little Honda, the Honda electric car, the little tiny hatchback with the round headlights.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I think it did end up coming out in the UK.
S600?
It was like a city. I think it was like
the new
it might have been a
city, yeah.
S660 or something like that?
Well, that's the two-door like sports car. Okay. This one was like a small hatchback, all electric, had round headlights but with like the square.
Sure.
Such a cool retro design. Loved it. I'm all into it. But would I buy one? No.
Yeah, no.
Like I'm not.
No,
into,
we have.
I want
our
old
thing.
cars, man. I want cars that I can work on myself. That I don't need a $20,000 scan tool to run through.
When I had the iRock, man, like you want to talk about simplicity, and I complicated the car a little bit and stuff like that, but just going from fuel injection back to carb and then back to I put the sniper on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like I can do everything, like literally everything on that car, right? And nowadays it's like even like to do my wife's Kona or the Tucson. Nowadays now it's just nuts, right? But you like because you're a Subaru, like you work at a Subaru dealership and stuff like that, right? So what do you think of like some of the new?
They're dead.
Yeah.
No offense. Subaru's done.
Yeah.
You're gone. I'm not taking offense. I mean,
it's going to be the same way that happened to Mitsu.
Yeah.
Mitsu
died,
the
man.
day they killed the Evo 10, they killed the brand.
Big time, man.
They're dead.
I'm not even a big Evo 10 guy, but like
with the death of the STI, as much as they're playing on heritage now, they're stepping away from the rally aspect, and they're going more adventure. Like you have the Wilderness series,
the Outback ones. Yeah.
So on the horizon, hopefully we'll have it for June at the FAF booth at the DXN show. WRX GT Adventure.
Electric?
No.
Oh, wow.
This is going to be. I can't really divulge what's going to be done, but it's going to be like.
This guy's got the inside scoop.
He's got the inside scoop. You heard it here first.
Mad Max meets a camping WRX.
Okay.
Really? That's pretty cool.
And honestly, it makes fiscal sense because for Subaru, that's probably 80% of their core market.
Yeah.
Is Outbacks. I know that they're
Outbacks, Crosstreks, Foresters.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
They've
gone that way.
Not quite overlanding, but we like to camp. Kind of thing.
Which is so like
glamping.
Yeah, like even like the old WRX and the STIs and stuff like that, like the Colin McRae stuff, like
that was raw Subaru. That was properly
100% X Games stuff. Like
this is our WRC. Let's get our WRC technology into our street cars.
Big time, man.
But think about how cool cars were. If you look at like for me the golden era is like late 80s to like mid 90s.
100%.
That like 10 year 85 to 95
so
had
sick.
Some of the sickest cars because they were willing to just do things.
Big time.
Had huge competition, which to me is still probably the best rivalry ever in cars. Was Evo versus STI.
Oh, big time.
Seeing those things, having competition. Whereas now it's like people are all wanting to design things to be the same. Like there's nothing special anymore.
I like the pushing
stuff, man.
FIA is just like FIA is coming down hard on like everything. Formula One with a halo now.
Yeah.
And all the stuff in styling,
which I get. That's
for safety.
That era, they pushed the limit
100%
on every car that came out. Like we were talking earlier about the Mitsubishi, the GTO 3000 GT and stuff.
Yeah.
Like the 4-wheel steering and stuff that it had, like just so complex. Like we have buddies that have 300ZX, the Z32s.
Yep.
Like the VG was such a complex motor in such a tight area. But that motor was proven and pushed to the limit, and not only on the street, but in racing series all around the world.
Yep.
Like it was a balls to the wall motor, right? And
so I was talking to one of the guys actually. He has a Z31.
Yeah.
RB swapped it.
Oh yeah.
A beam.
Yes.
So I saw him on Thursday.
Thing is sick though.
Yeah. Did you see the car?
I did.
How pretty cool.
Oh, he's out running. It's driving.
It's driving. It's running.
He's gonna be at our show.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
June 15th.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. But
yeah, so I was telling him between the RB and the VG, they're sister blocks.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to Matt.
It bolted right in, I think, didn't it? Or close to it or something?
So one guy actually had it swapped already but wasn't running. So they just took his swap. So the VG and the RB were basically made on the same assembly line, but for two different purposes. RBs are meant to rev.
Yeah.
VGs are meant for torque.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going balls to the wall for power, VG. But if you're going like endurance racing or high rev, big turbo, big boost, RB.
Yeah. Well, look
100%.
at Japan touring car, right? Like, that's a massive series back then. The Skylines dominated. They always have, right?
Godzilla, right?
But it's it's definitely a different world now, and stuff that like we'll get into like in the future and stuff like that. And you know what I mean, I'm happy that we were able to do this together today, and well, like eventually
intro.
Yeah, like for people watching stuff, like you guys can tell, like I've been battling stuff too, and we got new stuff going on and everything. So this is the first stepping stone, but the main goal today was like to at least introduce ourselves. We're gonna have guests on over the next. We'll get into it after the next couple months, hopefully.
Yep.
Some on at meet.
Yeah, at meet. Yeah, this is gonna be.
We're gonna set up a booth in the back of this thing, and
we're gonna be an Okei Podcast on location in the K truck. And again, like if you're in the GTA area and like if you're interested in being on the podcast and you want to get involved and you want to maybe do an application on it, we can review it and stuff like that. Again, like we're not trying to bash people and stuff like that. Something we can look at. But for sure, like if you see us at meets and stuff like that, make sure you say hi.
Say what's up.
We want to know your stories.
Yeah, like that's again like the whole point of this is to kind of put a bit of more spotlight on Canadian car content and mostly in the GTA.
Yeah,
so
Southern Ontario.
Yeah,
you know, with the 5 seasons in Ontario, and I mean 5 seasons in construction.
Yeah, literally, right? Like we know guys that have gone to the States and stuff and made and stuff, but we kind of want to be able to show people that have gone to meets and be like, hey, like I know that car.
It's like I saw it on this. Or,
and like, hey, like why don't like I want to know his story.
Yep.
And like if we can portray that to like you guys and show our personalities a little bit more and whatever. But on that note too, like thanks guys for like doing it together with me, and
of course.
I'm happy we're doing it. Doryoku Street Works on Instagram.
Yeah, Doryoku Street Works.
Yep. kaizosupplyco on Instagram too. If you need anything JDM related, you want your strobe lights, you want
a lot of collectibles.
Chorokus.
Chorokus.
Yeah,
stuff that you may not even know exists.
We ship. Cool. We're doing shipping now too, right?
Yeah, ship anywhere anywhere in the world. Man.
Okay, so we got that going on. June 15th, we're going to be working with Jason from North Rides, who we're going to probably have on the show at some point too. So make sure if you're in the area too to come check out that show. We have a couple other events.
DXN Invitational.
DXN
on
Invitational.
Yeah, and then a couple.
On the screen.
Yeah, a couple.
We'll work for Wade.
A couple more events too that maybe we'll release as we get the traction for it, and then.
Japan Classic.
Yeah, Japan Classic for sure.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
We're working with something with Jason for October 5th. It's super secret.
Yeah. We got that. We have something else we're working on.
You guys don't know yet either. Yeah. Me and Justin are working on a K meet.
Yes.
Oh yes.
K meet.
All for all.
Yeah.
K trucks, K cars.
We still got to get you to be
for August.
You got to be the pace truck for Japan Classic though.
Yeah,
we'll figure something out with that.
Yeah. So I'll ask Tim see if he wants a pace truck.
But
instead of the Ford Explorer.
Slow pace.
Yo, I'll be jokes. Yo, guys, like no heats in the brake. Like in the brakes and stuff like that, like just going in T1 like cold brakes because they can't get it going.
Throw pat light on the top.
Oh yeah.
I remounted it now. It's inside. I moved it. I have one orange.
Close enough.
Yeah, but until next time, guys, like thanks again and appreciate the views. And we look forward.
Follow, subscribe.
Follow, subscribe. Yeah. All the fun stuff.
Anything you guys want us to talk about in the comments down below?
Sure.
Let us know.
Yeah. We might do like at some point too. We might do like maybe we'll rate like people's cars. Or talk about people's cars.
I think that'd be a cool segment.
We have some segments planned too.
Do we have an email? Put it in the description.
Yeah.
He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Email us your builds.
Yeah.
Some photos. And we'll see it. We'll roast them.
Yeah.
Or not roast. We'll talk about it.
We'll lightly.
Lightly based.
But the main thing too, stay safe out there. Be an example for everyone. We understand that people are excited. They want to show off cars and stuff like that. And it's hard to pay for track time. I get that. But let's try to work together and maybe create a safer scene for everyone, kids, family.
Lead by example, man.
Yeah, lead by example, but
call people out.
Yeah,
man. When you see
you
people,
let them know.
You let them know. Call them out, man.
Build your cars for yourself.
Yeah,
and don't build your cars for clout or just for views.
Yeah,
do it because you love it.
That is the longest outro that I'll ever film in my life. But until next time, Doryoku, baby.
Yep.
Take care.